Good morning, everyone. Well, it's been a couple of great days, thank goodness. Now, today we're going to quickly talk about mental and emotional balance, evolution, and our children. Now, consider this point as it relates to our younger generation, but it's still the same for us adults. It was crucial for our ancient ancestors of 1 million+ years ago to be accepted as a part of a group in order to protect themselves from those wild creatures who would love to eat them if they could just catch them on their own. Now, the protection came from being a member of a large group. Millions of years of evolution doesn't change anything just because we think we are modern and different. You see, as adults, subconsciously our mind is still automatically comparing ourselves with other members of society or the group to make certain we are fitting in and not risking being rejected, alienated, or isolated in any way. Now, over the centuries, corrupt, power-hungry individuals and groups have used this simple human trait to their advantage and bolstered it by including a sense of threat and greed. By promoting that other members of the group or society have what should be yours, and if you are not with us, then you are against us. And that choice proved to be the difference between life and death. As examples, the uprising of the Chinese Communist Party 100 years ago, and the Russian Revolution, and the outcome of every authoritarian dictator that has walked this world forever. Now, as children, it is our parents and caregivers who have the responsibility of protection, nurturing, and shielding us from those harmful influences, and always making a child feel safe, included in the group or in the family. And the science shows the first 7 years of life for a child's development is critical for specific reasons. In fact, contrary to the comments of some parents, science very clearly shows that a child can never receive too much love and affection. A child cannot be spoiled on that account. They will always move into adulthood full of confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem, confident in the subconsciously knowing that they are an important, included member of the family and extended tribe. Now, for whatever reason, if a child doesn't get that throughout their development, which now includes into the second development phase, being their teenage years, subconsciously they can become fearful and stressed and eventually extremely anxious, because their whole fragile, still developing system is also telling them they are not included in the group's protection. Therefore, they are not worthy. And therefore, at any time they could be in danger of expulsion, which means they would lose the protection of the community. And their life, along with their world, could be in danger. And that is why, at a very early age, for many young children, their stress response can already be highly elevated. Now, that highly elevated stress response that they live with throughout their childhood leads into a completely wrong sense of a lack of value, worth, and self-esteem. And then they carry that with them right throughout their adult life. So no wonder we worry so much about what others say and what they may think of us. And this is important for humans of all ages, but especially for our children and teenagers, because at any point in time their brain is still developing and they are still discovering where they fit into the group. Now, enter the influence of relentless marketing, advertising, and social media, which capitalizes on these human traits. Feeling that you are not welcome in a group is, for most of us, a very threatening sense. And for our kids, it can seem like a major disaster. And kids are going through this every day. For example, being at school with their peer groups and popularity hierarchies. And then we add the brazen and deadly manipulation of the social media technology and slick advertising promos and even political manipulation. And guess who's paying the price? Our children. And then those same children go on to become adults with undermining anxiety issues. And nowadays it is becoming very common. Now consider this. Over the past millions of years, the size of any tribe was small, and there were only a few tribal members we had to consider at any one time, like the big chief or maybe the witch doctor. But now with modern media and well-marketed trends and products and even political manipulation, we are subconsciously considering the actions, words and opinions of complete strangers and organisations living on the other side of the world, for goodness sake, who have nothing to do with us. Individuals can feel overwhelmed and insignificant in a world community that is simply too large. And you wonder why sometimes it feels like you just can't win. There's great reason out there. There is too much going on in our world for our ancient human brain to effectively be able to cope. And the size of the world is far too big, as it's turning out. There seems to be people of dangerous influence everywhere in our daily news and social media comments. Therefore, repeated conversations between us and our peers. Now, this keeps the issues going, and for many, and especially our stress response, it simply confirms it is all fact, and it's not. And the powerful illusion that there are always more people who are smarter, richer, sexier, influential, prettier, famous, happier, or whatever than us, just confirms this misinterpretation. And yet so often it's all media driven in order to sell a good story, even if it's a lie. Boy, have we heard a bit of that over the last few years. Our children don't yet have the luxury of hindsight, time and maturity to comprehend what is true and what is not. It is difficult enough for us adults. Now that ongoing subconscious worry can be undermining their confidence and sense of self. And that, along with all of the other things, is gradually cranking up their ancient stress response and heading them towards feelings of overwhelming anxiety at a very early age. Yep, these influences are generally all media and political creations that subconsciously make us feel inferior or disappointed with our lot, and it is especially effective on our children. But what makes it worse is when we are going through a stressful patch, our brain can make up a fantasy image of what it thinks we should be, act, and should look like. And when we are run down and feeling a bit gloomy, it compares us with that, for goodness sake. And with our children who don't yet have a history of experiences, the amygdala is making stuff up to justify the level of stress the child is feeling. So unfair, so unhelpful, and such a blatant lie. Now we, and or they, can end up feeling not only not good enough, but unsafe, and it's completely untrue. Something for us all to be aware of, I guess, and with that we'll end today's video. Okay, we'll see you later, bye bye.